I like Evan Purge. He creates really good timings for his teammates. So I'm curious how I might be the only one who thinks this way, but like to say Asim's an upgrade for Purge, I think that they're just different players. Like statistically, yeah, Asim's an upgrade from Purge. Asim is definitely also a very selfless player. He's very aggressive. I would say he's a statistical upgrade, but the thing that Purge has a great read of is creating spacing on the map for his teammates and playing his life. Even though in that invasion search 5-5 he threw by running forward. But I like the way he takes risks. It's a whole different play style from Asim though. So that's why I'm curious to see how that's going to play off, simply because Purge is a lot less aggressive than Asim. And what I know about Call of Duty is the way a team works is like, if Purge is going to be way less aggressive and play his life a little bit slower than Asim, that means that the way the team is going to react to that is going to be different. So I don't know if they're going to get better or worse or stay the same. It's really hard to tell, honestly. I just think people look at the stats and go, well, Asim is definitely a better statistical player than Purge. Therefore, they're better because of the stats. But I think Attach's KD was so high because of Evan Purge. Evan and Nero were basically like a really solid foundation for Attach to fry. And then Gio's going to get kills no matter what. So, like, the thing that I look at with this Vegas roster, Asim is, like, Purge is just an incredible S&D player. And that's the thing. So, I like the Vegas roster with Purge because with Evan Purge, he's one of the best search players. I have no doubt about that. I think he's a better search player than Asim. I think Asim's a better hardpoint player than Purge. Probably a better control player too. But the thing with Vegas was like, they were pretty good at everything. And I feel like they'll definitely get worse in S&D, I feel. Just because Purge was, I think, one of their best, if not their best S&D player. Maybe him or Attach. I think Purge and Attach were their two best S&D players. But I do think that they'll get better in respawn with Asim. So it's kind of like a trade-off. I don't know if it's a net positive move or just like a neutral move. I don't think it's a negative move. I don't think getting Asim on the roster is a negative move. He will put up more kills than Purge. He will put up better stats, but they already had players doing that on their roster between Nero and Attach and Gio. So I don't really know if dropping Purge made the most sense, because they did drop Standy and Purge got a lot better, and Standy was a very selfish player with stats. And then Purge's stats went up when Standy was gone. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a bad move bringing Asim into the team. I don't think it's going to hurt them. But I don't really think Asim is going to make the team like, I don't think it's going to put the team over the top to that next level. Like, it's just hard to say though. It's really hard to say until it's seen, because I do think that there's pros and cons with Asim on the team compared to Purge. I think the respawn gets better. I think the search gets worse. It's just really, really hard to say, man. But the only way to find out is from the matches getting played. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. And I also, again, I want to say this again, guys. I felt bad that we dropped Asim from Boston, because I don't even think that we should have brought him in the first place, because we already had Pentagram, who was next up on the team. I just didn't, like, I didn't have a problem with Asim joining. I just felt like we already had a guy who was next up on the roster. So when we brought him in and we got the same results, it was really just bad timing. So I think it's good for Asim, because he's going to be on another team in the league and have an opportunity. I think that the move for him to join for Purge does make sense on paper. I'm curious to see if it does bring him over the top, but I think every team has that same problem. I think every team is looking to get over the top right now, including Boston, who's on the bottom. So it's just going to be tough no matter what, guys. Like, every team is trying to contend with these juggernauts at the top. So every team's going to do what they think is right for their team to get better. So I don't know. I think with Boston, we didn't really have much to lose. I think with Vegas, they had something really good with Purge, and it was getting better. So they were kind of taking a risk bringing Asim in my opinion, but I definitely think that he's going to improve them in Respawn. So, and they were really close to beating some of these top teams, but I just see it like this. S&D wins you championships in COD, and you got to be able to win S&D. So I always liked the philosophy of getting search and destroy players and molding them into Respawn players. That's like how I came up as a Call of Duty player, and a lot of the greats came up that way too. They all started with search. So usually when you have like a search and destroy demon that comes into Respawn, they usually can be an X factor for a team. It's just tough with COD these days. Competing with these top teams is really hard, and everyone's always looking to improve, and they don't have a lot of time to improve because of these online league.
Yo, Donnie, thank you very much, bro. I appreciate you, bro. Good looking out on the raid, bro. Thank you very much, bro. Thank you.
That scared the fuck out of me. That scared the fuck out of me, dude. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I don't want to come off like I'm an Asim hater either, because I'm really not. I don't really have any problem with Asim. But I feel like if I was to say that, if I was to say anything about Asim joining Vegas like in a negative way, I feel like people are just going to clip it and use it against me. And then they'll like paint me as an Asim hater, and it's like, I'm not. It's just like Pentagram was next up on this roster. And like, I wish that someone just told me that Asim had offers to join teams. I would have just been like, take him, because I don't think Boston's the best fit because he's next up here. So, again, no bad blood with Asim, honestly. Just, it is what it is, right? Attach didn't have a great series last week for his standards. But again, like, I really want to make this clear. Stats in Call of Duty, and Attach is a great player, though, but his stats are definitely inflated because of Evan's spacing on the map. Now that the spacing changes with Asim, I'm curious to see the way the results get better or the same. I don't think they're going to get much worse if they were to get worse. I think that it's like a neutral or a positive move, which is why I guess it makes sense why they would do it. But you can't expect to win with a player dropping those stats at the highest level in COD. Like, you need the whole team to be congruent. Everyone's got to be doing the same thing. Everyone's got to be balanced with each other. The pacing from the team has to match and make sense. So Asim will make them faster. Geo's a fast player. He gets kills. I love Geo. Asim's a fast player. He gets kills. Great entry player. He will move and create spacing in terms of just being aggressive. Nero is passive aggressive, but very hyper aggressive. He's insane at also creating pressure on the map like an Asim. They kind of run the same role in a way, but it's going to be a good sub duo. And then you have Attach, who definitely to me is the best player in the team, just based off of what he's done and playing against Attach. Like, I played against Geo. I played against Attach. I played against everyone on that team, I think. I played against Purge, but he's not there. I never played Asim before. I never ever played Asim because he came up in BO4 and I just stopped playing at that time. So I never had the privilege of playing against Asim, but I did play everyone else on that roster. Nero's had my number. I've always had everyone else's number on that roster. They're all great players, so I like the Vegas roster in general. I think that they don't really have much to lose, and I think that it's a calculated risk that could pay off, but it's yet to be seen. Is there a stream from Boston? It's a great question. I don't believe we have one because none of the players are streaming, and the only one was that first match on YouTube. So right now we're kind of just in a weird spot. I think this is the only match I see outside of... We do have Spart's team playing against Phantoms and Co., but they're about to go up 2-0 in the series, so that's going to be over soon. RCDs is waiting for his match, so there's nothing going on over there as well. So we're kind of just waiting around for some of these matches now. Pentagram a definitely better fit. I mean, he didn't play well in the first match versus Miami, but again, like, we want to build from the ground up in Boston, and we want to give opportunities to the players that we believed in initially. So that's like the foundation of what we're looking to build here in Boston. So that's why I'm trying to say, like, there's not really bad blood with these roster changes. Like, even when we hopefully don't have to, but even if we have to make roster changes with the players that we just brought up, like, we all understand it's a business at the end of the day, but we definitely want to give the opportunities to the players who have done well for us. You know, Pentagram has been the best player on Boston Academy since he joined the academy. Everyone will tell you that. I will tell you that. Sean will tell you that. Ghosty will tell you that. Kremp will tell you that. Snoopy will tell you that. Beans didn't play with him, so he can't tell you that, but Pentagram was the best player in the academy, and he's been sitting around for a very long time being patient. So it's just kind of crazy. Like, that's why I'm trying to say, like, obviously we should have beat Miami, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it is what it is, right? Like, that's the thing about being a competitor. You have to be able to understand where you need to get better, and you need to have this, like, strange ego, chat. His POV is cracked for sure. You have to have this ego as a player. Like, your ego needs to be very strong. You need to be able to think to yourself that you are the best and you're not going to lose. And under any circumstances, you're not going to lose. Like, you're going to be the best. You need to have that in you, but you also need to know when to use that and when not to use that, and when that's unhealthy. You need to know when to not tap into that and tap into the other side of, this is what always worked for me, I would say, because I know that I'm inconsistent as a player. I'm not the best player. But when push comes to shove, I ain't going to fucking lose. You give me a good opportunity, I'm not fumbling that bag. Like, it's probably going to be in a short duration. You know, like for champs last year for Boston. If I got called up for champs last year for Boston, I was not going to fumble that bag. Best believe. I was in flow state going into champs. And the roster was really good if I was to go on the team. And I knew Dan Ghosty's Optic Gaming extremely well because I was talking to Dan Ghosty all year about how to play the game. So I think if I played Optic at champs, there was nothing that they would have done that I wouldn't have been prepared for. And if I had that opportunity, I probably would have been able to go crazy with that. But consistently speaking throughout a season, I'm not the player for a team, I feel, anymore. I'm not that consistent force. You know, I'm not going to day in and day out, match in and match out, get those consistent wins, drop those big numbers. But in short dosages, I'm your guy. So when Pentagram wasn't getting a chance for a long period of time, it just made a lot of sense.